Welcome to Pagan Coffee Talk. If you enjoy our content, please consider donating and following our socials. Now, here are your hosts, Lady Alba and Lord Knight.
So today we have another question. This one comes from Daniel Mann. I did not make note of where he's from, but Daniel asked, I would like to hear you talk about the relationship between physical, mental, and spiritual health. Okay.
All right.
I mean, I think it is something we've touched on here or there.
Right.
Throughout the podcast. I know it's something we touch on in our lecture series all the time.
And again, it is a stable concept between in the occult. And...
Yeah. I mean, we always talk about having your house in order.
Yes.
So really, what's your house? What does that mean?
Your mind, your thoughts, you.
Yeah. Your physical self, your emotional self. It's control, but control seems like a strange word. It's awareness. I always go to Henry David Thoreau and Walt Whitman and those guys. You know, it's know thyself.
Yes.
Yeah. And I remember once, I think you summed it up the best. We were visiting a sister group in Greenville, South Carolina. It was Lord Lou's group. Yeah. And you were asked, you know, ultimately, what's the point of teaching? What is it that you hope to gain? And you just said it's to help people be the best version of themselves.
Yes.
That's it.
That's it.
There's no other agenda inside of craft. And really, it should be that way for most religions and spiritual pathways. So yes, your physical, mental, and spiritual health are all wrapped up into that. It's being the best you that you can be. So what does this mean? We don't avoid.
But we recognize there's a connection between these two. If you're...
Three, yeah.
Yeah. In other words, if any of these are out of whack with one another, you're going to have disease.
Well, absolutely. It also makes me wonder, and I've long said this, you know, the idea of the triple, right? The triple goddess, the triple god, the Christian version of the Trinity.
Right.
Is this not really it?
Yes.
Is this not what it actually is, right?
Oops.
Yeah. I mean, if we look at modern mankind, yes, spiritually, right? It's your physical, your mental, and your spiritual coming together to be whole. What is the difference? I mean, if we look at the Trinity, Father, Son, Holy Ghost. Okay, well, if the Holy Ghost is the spiritual part, then of the remaining two, right, one of them is mental and one of them is physical. I would assume the Godhead is the mental.
Yes.
And so the Son, the living embodiment, is the physical.
Yes.
Surprise. Big mystery, guys. Big mystery.
Yeah. It took 2 seconds.
I know. but it takes some people a lifetime to come to that.
I know.
Which is wild. But what do we often see? Everyone has a strength and everyone has a weakness.
Right.
When it comes to those three aspects. So it's very easy for us to rely on the thing that we are most attuned with and just sweep under the rug the one that we're not going to talk about right now. Right?
But again, I mean, there are, if your mental state's in a certain way, you're going to have physical symptoms.
Absolutely. People don't understand that I shouldn't be that broad, but a lot of people don't understand that if you have a emotional ailment, you are going to experience physical pain.
Yes.
You are going to have physical symptoms that maybe can't be explained or that just aren't well managed.
Well, I've heard for years that people who have that deep depression,
yes,
often complain about joint pains. Mm-hmm. Their joints just ache. Mm-hmm. And that is a physical representation of their...
Yes. Their appetite is affected. I mean, there's so many different ways that it manifests, right? So we have to take care of all of the parts. Now, I will say, and I do find this interesting because I could call out a few folks in our group right now for this. I'm not going to name names. But many, many people put the physical on the back burner.
Yes.
I don't understand why. Spiritual front and center, mental front and center. I've got to prioritize being healthy in those areas. Okay, great. You have a rash on your leg that looks like it is literally eating you. It's fine. I don't need to go to the doctor. What?
No treatment, no nothing.
You see what I'm saying?
Yeah, you're at least not going to your herbalist going, hey,
yeah,
apothecary.
Do we have a salve for
this? Do we have a salve?
I don't.
I mean, we have apothecaries if you don't want to go to a doctor.
We have so many possibilities, but it's very easy. Again, societally, I think part of what's happened there, the physical stuff, right? Think about how far we've come. It used to be, it was a need, a very deep-rooted, spiritually connected experience to seek out the healer.
Right.
To go to the people that could fix or help you with physical ailments. You did not ignore them. And I think one of those reasons is because back then, if you did ignore them, you died.
Right.
You couldn't ignore an infection. You died.
Well, again, these spiritual healers, they do more than just heal the body.
Absolutely, absolutely. But what I'm saying is people were more apt to say, oh, well, that cut looks a little deep. I should go see the healer.
Right.
Versus now, they're not healers, right? This is now, it's like they're the people in the white coats. It's a laboratory. It's a science experiment. It's, it's big pharma and it's
And again, then there's this price tag attached to it, which you're debating in the back of your head. Do I really afford to have this?
Yes. Yeah. It's no longer, what do I owe you? Well, bring me a pie. It's no longer something.
Bring me eggs for the next 2 weeks or something.
It's much more intense. And so we avoid. People don't want to go to the doctor. They don't want to discuss things. But again, the longer we hold it off, the worse it gets. It affects us elsewhere. So I do find it funny. I think modern man is interested all about the spiritual wellness and the mental wellness, but physical, we're just like, whatever.
Don't get me wrong. I mean, just going out for a walk.
Yeah. And it seems like there's a lot of all or nothing when it comes to the physical side, meaning, you've got the people who obsessively prioritize physical, gym rats, that sort of thing. Or it's just like, well, I'm just going to sit here. It'll be all right. And again, it's the ignoring. But, mentally and spiritually, I'm sure there's arguments for those too. I think the mental piece, lifelong learning, right?
Well, let me ask, could the problem on this be this whole entire attitude that we've had sort of in our society where you have the muscle-bound meathead jock
maybe
persona?
Maybe. I think more importantly, we've become lazy.
Oh, God, yes.
So, hey, I learned something this week, and it shocked me to my core. It literally rocked me. Okay.
All right.
I was talking to a friend who is an elementary school teacher, and come to find out, children are no longer assigned homework.
Huh?
Bingo. I stared at her like she had two heads, and I said, what are you talking about? She goes, out of my entire school district, she goes, I am only one of 3 teachers who assigns homework. She is a math teacher. And I said, how is this possible? She goes, the kids don't do it. I said, what do you mean they don't do it? She goes, it doesn't matter what you assign. It doesn't matter how long you give them to do it. They don't do it. And the parents don't enforce it. She goes, I cannot tell you how many parents come, parent-teacher conference or whatever it is. And she goes, and they will literally say to me, oh, I didn't know they had homework. And I went, did they themselves not go to school? Were they not given homework? Yeah, so this is what's going on. And I'm going, if children are not being given homework, how in the effing fuck do you expect them to grow up to be dedicated adults
I've seen school systems saying that they're no longer requiring math and certain other, and this makes no sense to me.
We have become, this is harsh, but I mean, we have literally become a disciplineless society. Kids are not taught basics anymore.
I'm sorry. If you're not teaching other kids math, so people like me who were in special ed don't feel bad, don't worry about us. We're fine.
But to your point that you just said that is fascinating, because I will sometimes encounter adults who say things to me like, oh, I don't read. Like, why would I want to read a book? And I go, I have a friend who's dyslexic and he reads. What the fuck is your excuse? I'm like, are you kidding me? What do you mean? Well, I'm not going to read a book. Like, because again, it's the homework theory. Like, what do you mean I have to put in
extra
effort? And I'm just appalled when I hear people say that. But this is very common now.
And I'm going to put it this way, and I'm trying my best to be nice about this.
Don't be.
All right? Being dyslexic, y'all don't understand. I would give my left arm. Mm-hmm. All right? And I'm left-handed.
To just be able to
be able
read.
to do a fraction of what in the world y'all just do.
Yeah.
And you pass it up to do.
Well, I mean,
you don't know how bad that makes me want to.
Well, listen, on behalf of the non-dyslexics, I can tell you that is because if you were given that ability, we would be in big trouble. Because you are already too smart for your own damn good. I don't want to know what would happen if, you were at full capacity, so to speak. It's very interesting to see how we have become lame to stuff like that. I go, we talk about it in craft, right? Why are we here? To learn, to continue to learn infinitely for as long as we can, as much as we can.
Don't stop.
Right. Why would you? At what point do you go, I'm done? What? We're never done. There's no such thing. But I do see it. I see it with my friend group now, how as people get older, they're, technophobes and, I don't want to learn that new thing. Why? What are you, what's the drawback? Yeah. It's very, very bizarre. So we constantly have to cross-reference that and check that and go, wait a minute, what are we doing?
So are you trying to tell me I'm the freak because if you go to look at my YouTube videos, search, it's going to say how to grow, how to make. Yeah.
You mean it's not porn? I don't mean that against you. I'm being serious because most men, it's porn. Yeah. Or it's stupidity, right? It's like videos of people getting kicked in the crotch. Yeah. Mindless entertainment becomes the focus, not education. I know.
That just breaks me in so many places.
Yeah. But I see it again with the children that I've been exposed to. Yes, it is a common thing that we're seeing over and over where there's no discipline anymore. There's no expectation anymore. And that is a very scary idea, because how do we develop or instill in younger people that desire to continue to learn and grow if when they're very little, we're not introducing them to those ideas?
Me and Lord Osborne was here the other night, and I played that video I sent to you about people being praised, saying that you're smart versus being praised for the effort.
Yes. That's a very good point. Absolutely. Because
it just seems like that's feeding into this.
Yeah. Oh, definitely. But it's interesting, okay, because so I have a friend who has 2 kids and one is special needs.
Right.
The non-special needs child is the one who, like his peers, like even from his parents, right? He's the most likely to go, oh man, I gotta go to school tomorrow, right? He doesn't want to go. His sister is like, fuck yeah, school! She loves it. She wants to go on weekends. She wants to go, right? And her mother is like, honey, we don't have school today. This kid's dressed and ready to go. And she's like, Mom, what do you mean? School is the shit, Mom. And it's so funny to see that dynamic.
Right.
The special needs kid is the one who's all about it. Like, teach me stuff.
Teach me stuff.
Yeah. What is wrong with us? It's a problem. And then, of course, the emotional side, which, as I've said many times, I think we've said it repeatedly throughout this, therapy good.
Yes.
Yeah. Therapy is not a bad thing. You learn about yourself. People see it as this scary, like, oh, you're going to pick me apart and tell me what I've done wrong. No, they're not. A good therapist is never going to say, well, you did this. They're not going to judge you. That's not what they're here for.
Most good therapists, I don't think, say too much.
They definitely don't judge.
No, they don't.
No. If your therapist judges you, leave. That's not the therapist for you.
I think they beat that out of them the first year.
Yeah.
Simple.
They are there to make you think.
Yeah.
They're there to suggest. They're there to say, hey, why don't you try blank?
They're not there to fix your problem.
No, they're like a coach.
Yes.
They're a coach and a guide, and no, they're not there to fix anything. I cannot tell you how many times I have heard from my own therapist and also from psychiatrists and from doctors, you did the work.
Right.
You put in the effort. You did this. I am glad that I was here to help, but ultimately...
You did it.
Right. And that's really the key. And I mean, emotional work is not easy, and that's why we try to avoid it. And I mean, look, we all have things that are not great, right? Habits that we have, ways to avoid, deny, right? I mean, the big one for most people is drugs and alcohol, even if it's minimal, right? Well, I don't want to give up my 3 beers a night because
it's my 3 beers a night.
It's my 3 beers a night. That's how I turn out the world, and I forget about the bullshit.
And I get a little high right before bed, and I get
exactly. But
I'm not beating my kids. I'm not beating my wife.
Right. I go to work every day. I'm a functioning member of society. So what's wrong with it? Well, there's the question right there. If you are asking what's wrong with it,
that's what's wrong.
Answer your own question. Why do you feel guilt? Why are you concerned about it? Why is there that underlying? Because chances are whatever's making you need those 3 beers is not being dealt with.
Right.
So, yes. And that's what a therapist ultimately does. They go, let's explore it. Let's figure it out. Let's look at what that is. Why do you feel the need to disconnect and to escape like that so regularly? So, yeah. Often.
So, no, we've talked about how to improve the physical.
Uh-huh.
We've talked about how to improve the mental through meditation, therapy, and all that. How do we improve?
Well, that's the emotional.
How do we improve the spiritual?
Yeah, that's a fun one.
I have to ask. I mean, I think it's done through meditation, ritual, through doing those practices, doing a daily meditation, if that's what you want to do.
Spiritual improvement, like anything else, is up to the individual. Do they need it or feel that they don't need it? Also, what is it to them?
Right.
You know, for some people, spiritual growth comes from a group book club or Bible study or, those kinds of things. Great. For other people, it's a walk on the beach. You have to explore your options and find
what works for you.
Yeah. And every once in a while, I think, you do meet people that are like, I don't think I have a big void in my life spiritually. Okay.
All right.
That's fine. There's nothing wrong with not feeling like you need to do something. I think it's funny because some people feel guilty. Like welcome to being raised Catholic. There's guilt, right? Like if I'm not seeking God, if I'm not trying to better myself spiritually, I feel guilt.
You should feel guilt.
Right.
How dare you fail?
Exactly. And so it's so interesting how that happens. And then there is a point where sometimes you kind of forgive yourself and go, why can't I commune spiritually right here, right now, and not worry about it? Yeah.
Especially when you're talking about Catholic Christians, isn't that a personal relationship? Oh, I'm just saying.
You would think.
Now you can tell who was raised Baptist and who was raised Catholic.
Absolutely. You would think. But remember, we put people in tiny little boxes and tell them to spill their secrets to the man behind the curtain. We are living in Wizard of Oz every time you step into a Catholic church. So I don't understand. It's true. You get in the little box. Go in this little box and tell this man all your secrets. What? No.
You know what? I think if I was raised Catholic, I would have been doomed.
I cannot tell you as a child how many times I lied by omission in confessional, right? Because that's the loophole. I'm not lying. I just didn't tell you. Right? And there's even guilt in that because I didn't confess my sin to God. God already knows my sin. Who gives a shit? He's fine with it. He didn't strike me down. It's cool.
So now you've been hanging out with the Baptists too long.
I've been hanging out with many things too long. Good grief. Don't even get me started on my Jewish friends. They're like, guilt, here, eat a matzah ball. Shut up. What are you worried about? Eat something. Anywho, well.
Did we actually answer a question?
I don't know. We explored it. That's how I look at it. I'm not here to answer anything. I just explore it. I don't know. But let's refill our coffee and tackle the next topic.
All right.
Thanks for listening. Join us next week for another episode. Pagan Coffee Talk is brought to you by Life Temple and Seminary. Please visit us at lifetempleseminary.org for more information, as well as links to our social media: Facebook, Discord, Twitter, YouTube, and Reddit.
We travel down this trodden path, a maze of stone and mire. Just hold my hand as we pass by a sea of blazing pyres. And so it is the end of our days, so walk with me till morning breaks. And so